Okay. I didn't actually intend to speak, but I submitted questions. Tiffany Trotter, Mobile, Alabama, 36605. So essentially going back to my question as well about body cameras for supervisors and above, I understand since they are spending the majority of their shift in the office, right? But it should be whenever they're out patrolling, and definitely if they address a civilian in any way, shape, or manner, even if it's just asking a simple question, they need to have a body camera on. There needs to be a clear indicator that they have a body camera on. So my second question as well, and while I know the city council and the mayor, I believe, do not have the power as of now to address this, but why does the Mobile Police Department not have their policy and procedural manuals made public? If we can go to our schools, our children's schools, if I can walk in there and ask for a disciplinary and contract, manual for if my child misbehaves or if my teacher does something in a certain way, shape, or manner, there is a line of procedure, to handle those issues. It goes from a warning to a conference to suspension, etc. Where is that in the Mobile Police Department? The NAACP and the Alabama ACLU have requested this for over 2 years, as well as outside sources. It's been an issue of security. What is the issue of security? I yield my time.
You still have 30 seconds, ma'am.
Yes, you still have
30 seconds.
You still have 30 seconds, Ms. Trotter.
Okay, that's fine. I yield my time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Alexander Tapia, and following Alexander Tapia is Roxanne Isom.
Mr. President,
Richardson?
we have gotten numerous of complaints in the mail regarding body cameras, and I think we're going to probably hear it over and over again. I think it's a major issue, and either we have to come back to it or we need to address the situation now. We need to know what the current policy is, and if the Mobile Police Department is in the process of changing that policy, we want to know when would those policies, the new policies, be ready. I think we don't need to leave here today saying it's up in the air, don't nobody know what. We need to know where we are with body cams. That's why we're calling this meeting. I was intending to have a public safety committee meeting, and so we are now having a city council meeting in lieu of the public safety committee meeting. One of the issues that was on the agenda was body cameras, and I think the police department needs to speak up about body cameras now.
I agree.
Mr. Richardson, Mr. Public Safety Director, and Chief Battiste, we've got a request from Mr. Richardson to give us an overview of our current body camera policy. If you all wouldn't mind, we'd be interested in hearing it. And we want to stress that what they're going to articulate is where we are now. One of the reasons we're having these dialogues is so that we can see how we might need to supplement, change, or eradicate this policy or that policy to make it better. So, but I think it's a prime question. If you all could give us an overview of what the current policy is, that would be helpful.
Chief Battiste, first of all, let me begin providing my explanation. First of all, I believe it's really ludicrous that this city council would ask us to disclose the what's in the body cam policy, because we've turned it over to the council on numerous occasions. It is not new. Everybody that's a city council member has had access to what our body camera policy happens to be. The other part is this, is that as we developed the body cam policy, I was just coming on board with the city of Mobile as the assistant chief of Mobile. The city council had just put in place a mechanism for the city of Mobile to be wearing body cameras. It was a new phenomenon in this particular area. The policy by which that we use here at the city of Mobile, that was not a national standard policy at the time. We developed a national standard policy. We have gone to the state legislator and asked them to assist us with working with our body cam policy to try to get feedback from the Attorney General's office, which has not happened to this point. But nonetheless, we have put together a very robust body cam policy by which every officer that operates in field operations or in traffic wears a body camera. We have been so aggressive to the point that not only do those officers wear body cameras during their normal work day, but we have upgraded it to where they have a body cam when they are at off-duty side job working requirements currently. And again, we do not require supervisors to wear body cameras simply from the perspective that their interaction with the general public is usually one of trying to go in to de-escalate situations with the officers that are on the scene rather than having interactions directly with the general public. I think our policy is very robust. I think if you've read it, it's about an 8-page document. We've tried to cover every aspect that we could possibly think of to address what could potentially happen in a situation involving the general public. But nonetheless, we have never been opposed to reviewing and updating our policy as we move forward, and we'll continue to do those things when asked to do so. But to be put on the spot to make a decision about making a change to a policy today, I think one is unfair for this department to be put on trial by anyone from the city council about being able to provide new changes to body cam policy.
Chief,
Wow.
Chief, one second. Chief Battiste, let's just make certain that everybody's on the same page. That is not the expectation of this meeting, and it's certainly not the expectation of the members of the council. And furthermore, it was members of this council that pushed and instigated and made the efforts in order to secure the body cameras. So we are pretty well versed in what your current policy is. But I think if I were to ask the average citizen here what they know relative to the policy, they would admit that they don't know. So rather than us trying to explain what your policy is, it'd be better for you to do it. No one's trying to put you on trial here, Chief. That's not, we were not even going down that road. All we asked was for you to give an overview of what your current policy is. No one has even made a suggestion as to how that policy might even be changed. So that's not what we're doing here, Chief. So we can tone it down 2 or 3 notches, because that isn't what we're here for. We're here for a discussion with the persons who pay the salaries of every person in this room. And so we're not here to try to put anybody on trial. And I'm not going to allow anybody to be put on trial. But we're here to have a discussion, a much needed discussion. And we can't do that with these preconceived notions already when we're simply asking for an overview of your current policy. Whatever your current policy is what it is. And if we need to make changes, you'll bring that to us, we'll bring that to you, the community will give us feedback, and we'll decide as a community. So Chief, that's not what we're doing.
Councilman, with all due respect, the statement made by Councilman Richardson that we need to get answers about changing that policy immediately is not what I would consider not putting the police department on the front line. Again, I do believe that as an agency, we have been very transparent in providing that policy, not just to this council, but we have released that policy multiple times to the media, and it has been reviewed to many of the citizens in this community. So again, with all due respect to the explanation that was given, based off the comments, and I did not direct my comments specifically to a council member, but a council member specifically talked about us being able to make changes to the policies as we're sitting here today. And again, I don't think that's fair to the department. Again, I am more than welcome, I'm more than pleased at any time to sit down about making changes to policies. Every time there's an incident within our department, we review our policies to make sure that we're, one, in compliance, the other part, and see if there are policy failures, to see if we need to make updates to these policies. So as an agency, based off our standards and practices, we are always looking to try to make sure that we're doing the things that serves this community in the best possible way. I don't take it as a personal attack on me, but I do take it as a personal attack on the fact that we have made these things available for people to look at. We have provided it not necessarily to the public individually, but we have provided it to the media when questions or concerns have come up about our policies, and we continue to try to make sure we put that information out there as best we can. And again, I just, based off the comment that was made by the council member, I believe that it was, I think that the council as a whole know that we have provided these policies and made them available.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
one want to say that the statement that was just made by the chief is ludicrous. I made no such statement. I never made a statement that we're here today to make no policy. I'm trying to find out what the policy is, so if there is a change in policy, they can come back to us later on. I never made a statement that we're trying to make no policy today. I haven't made that statement. And I'm sorry that I was perceived as having said that. I haven't said no such thing. And let me just say that nearly 50 people here today is a drop in the bucket in regards to the number of people that's looking at us right now. We are live right now. People all over the city is watching what we say. And for me to ask what the current policy is now, and if it's in transition, whereas I just heard some good things that they've asked the Attorney General and other people to weigh in on it. Nobody asked the council because people are asking us about the policy. No one asked me anything about the policy. I did watch the video where Mr. Antonio Moore referred to, where the officers came, and I didn't see an officer there with a body camera on. And then the sergeant came up and said, I don't have to wear a camera. I'm exempted from wearing a camera. So the point is, I had no idea of that. No one told me anything like that. But if we're not making any policy, I'll tell you what my policy is. If you're policing the city, the streets in the city mobile, I don't care what your rank is. If you got a gun on, mace, and all of that stuff on, you policing the streets of the city mobile, you need a body camera on. I don't care who you are. If you are policing the streets of the city mobile, now if you're in the office, that's one thing. But we're not dealing with that today. We're not dealing with that. That's not what we're dealing with today.
That's not what we're here for.
No.
Right.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President?
Go first.
I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.